graph paper in a minute, you're going to check and see whether we figured it right. Okay? So what is the length of the line segment in number 2? Which point is changing it? Is it the x-coordinate or the y-coordinate that's changing? Which one is changing, Braden?
X.
The x. So what's the length of that line segment then, do you think?
4.
Okay, and you got that by saying 7 minus 3 equals 4. Okay, here's why. This is the x-coordinate. This is the y-coordinate. This is the x-coordinate. This is the y-coordinate. Okay, and all you do is you look at those coordinates. You figure out which coordinate is changing. This one changed right here. Because the other two, the value is exactly the same. So that means at that y-coordinate, it doesn't move. I mean, it's just staying on the y-coordinate. Okay? But it says the x-coordinate is moving. Okay? Chloe, do you know where I'm at here? Monique, do you know where I'm at? Okay? So what about number 3? Which coordinate is changing in number 3? The y is changing. Knowing that, then I should be able to calculate, this one here is 4 units. I should be able to calculate the length of that segment. Okay? Or the distance between the two y's. Well, what is 5 minus 0?
5.
5. So there are 5 units. It's 5 units long. Okay? Look at number 4. Which coordinate is changing? Which coordinate, Roper, is changing in number 4? Is it the y-coordinate or the x-coordinate? The x-coordinate. Okay? X is changing. So what's the length of this one? How am I going to set it up, Roper? I want to know the difference between the 1 and the 8, so how would I find out difference? Nope. Difference. The distance between them. How have I done it on every single one of these, Roper? Subtraction. So tell me what I'm going to subtract from what?
8 minus 1.
There you go. 8 minus 1 equals 7 units. All right, now then, you have your graph paper. I want you to take your graph paper and I want you to graph every one of these points. You're going to graph the line segment just like we did. I got to switch it over. I got to unfreeze it again. Just like we did here. We did the line segment, right? And then I want you to count the distance of that segment. And I want you to do that for every one 1 through 4. So graph the line segment 1 through 4. So you're going to graph the points, and then you're going to draw. Your number line should be over there. You're numbering your axis, and you're placing each segment on the same graph. You graph the x and then the y. So like this one is, oh, you can't see it, so hang on, I gotta get that where you can see it better. Oh, you mean this x or this y? Oh, those are just that's the label of this point is that x. So the first one was 1, 2, so it should be there, shouldn't it? This is the x-coordinate, this is the y. I've got to go over 1 and then go up on the elevator 2. Okay, you don't ever start with 1. Number 1 is, yeah, that's your problem. You got it numbered incorrectly. We've been doing this. Why is it the numbering the axis is bothering you? Because we've been doing this for a week. There's no reason why that should be giving you any trouble. This is 0. Go over 1 from 0, from the point of origin, and go up 2. Put a dot. Now, the other one says to go over 1 and up 4. Now, use a straight edge and draw your line segment in. Use a straight edge and draw your line segment in. That doesn't mean sit there and freehand it. That might mean I might need a ruler. Use a straight edge to draw these in. Monique, you need to be drawn, kiddo. It's not acceptable to sit there and look at everybody else. Okay, you need a straight edge every time you got those first ones in and draw it in with a straight edge. Okay, now then, you want to label each point. Put those in parentheses. Okay, do the other one. Okay, now then, how many, what's the distance there? Okay, so on that, I'm just going to write. Okay, that's your first one. Now, do the second one. Do the same thing for the second one. And if you don't have a number 7 there, okay, because this you gotta be on the lines, not in the middle. See, I didn't number them in the middle. I numbered on the lines, because it's the line that's number 1, not the middle. And there's your 7th one, right? There you go. That number 8 on number 4. If you numbered your graph by 1s, you're gonna have to give yourself another line out there. Okay, again, you're numbering in the middle. You have to number on the lines. Okay, here's what I'm seeing. Let me unfreeze. We need to stop for a minute because I can tell we got some problems here. My numbers, which are really hard to tell. Let's see if I can. Oh yeah, that's better. My numbers, which are harder to tell. Blow it up big enough. Maybe. I'm gonna, just a minute. I'm gonna delete it out, start again so that you can see it. Because I got some kiddos that can't number the graph. And I had no idea because it seems like we've been doing this now for about a week. And numbering the graph is not something that I should be having to show again, but I am. And I don't know why. So we're going to do it. Clear this out where I can work with it. Okay. You are numbering the lines on the graph. So this is, and the center of it, I know we had this last week, we called the center the point of origin, or that's 0. So 0 I don't have to number. But this is 1, and it's hard for me to put it on the line. 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on and so on. I'm not numbering in between. I'm numbering that line. You should be numbering the line. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. This one is 1, 2, 3, 4. And these are negatives. -1, -2, -3, -4. It is the lines that you're numbering, not the center of the grid. Okay? Now, that first one was a point at 1, 2, and a point at 1, 4. Okay? Got that? And then you use your straight edge, and you draw the line in. Okay? Got that? And then you label each point. This is 1, 2. Because I went over 1 and up 2. My x value was over 1 and up 4. And this is 1, 4. And then you were just asked to count, what is the distance? And this one here was 2 units. That's my distance. The second one should be the same type of a thing. When you get out here, you've got 6, 7, and on yours you may need to add another one to get the 8. Okay? This should be something that you can do without any hesitation. So I'm just asking you to put those numbers that we had, to put these numbers on your graph, and then count and see if it's the same distance as what we calculated it to be. I take it you were playing Mount Valley? That's how she knows, see? Got them all on there? Counted all the distances? I don't see things on your paper. You got way too much stuff on your desk. I want you to do what needs to be done. No, we started this last week. And I know you guys were graphing points back in, you guys were graphing points on pictures back in 5th grade. I know you did. So the number line is not, this isn't the first time you've seen the coordinate line. Maybe the first time that you've seen it where it has all 4 quadrants. Okay? All right, here's the question. Number 2, we say it's 4 units. Somebody that's got it on their paper, tell me, were we correct? Tyler, are we correct?
Yes.
When you graphed it in, it was 4 units. Okay? What about number 3? Monique, you're drawing on number 3. Does it match up the number of units in length? Have you drawn it yet? Monique, have you drawn it yet? Deserve an answer. Well, maybe you need to do that instead of sitting there and just looking around and smiling. Okay, I need you to do the math, please. Have you got yours drawn, Jaden?
Yes.
Does the units match? Is it 5 units?
Yes.
What about number 4? Somebody, Cole, you've got it drawn. Does it match the 7 units? So we can either draw it or we can just calculate. If we're asked to calculate it, we could figure it out either way, okay? If it's a state assessment, can you draw it even if it doesn't tell you to draw it? Sure. So that's a tool that you could use during state assessments. Chloe?
I was going to answer the next one.
We did all of these, okay? All right. Now, you have maybe filled up that side of your graph paper. Let's say, okay, because these are all positives, let's go into that. Yeah, we don't want to do that. Go down to the bottom, that bottom quadrant, and take the negatives off that Y. No, wait a minute, I can't do that. I can't, never mind, don't do that. Just turn it over. Turn it over. I think, let me look here and make sure that these are all positives. Oh yeah, we can do that. If we take that piece of graph paper that we've got, and I'm going to see if I can add a graph piece on here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so take your piece of graph paper, and I realize this has got our 4 quadrants, and I'm going to break it up to where I can use it on each one of these and not have to have so much graph, but I'm also going to make it bigger so that you can see it better. Does that make that more visible? Yeah. Okay. All right. So I'm going to graph the first piece that it's asking us to. And I want you to graph this as well. Now notice I've got to be able to go up 9 units. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 9 that I can count up 9. Do you? Do you have that many on your graph? Well, what could you do to make it to where you could? What could you number it by?
1,
You can do by 2s or by 3s. So let's go with the 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8. I've got to be able to go up 9, so that would be 10 there. That's going to be close enough. And I've got to be able to go out 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. Will that work? Okay. So A is at 0.24. 2, 4. Have you got a point at 2, 4? B is at 3, 9. Well, 3 is going to be halfway between 2 and 4. And 9 is going to be halfway between 8 and 10. Do we agree? So about there. Makes it harder when you're splitting it like that, but it works. We can make it work. C is 7, 8. 6, 7, 8, about center. And then again at 8, 1. Okay? Once you get all those points in there, then you need to connect the dots, so to speak. Does your shape look similar to mine?
Yes.
Okay? And then to get all the points for it, I need to make sure I go back here and say 3, 9. This is 3, 9. This is 7, 8. This one is 8, 1. And then my one over here was 2, 4. Okay? Everybody agree with that? Now, it says to draw the quadrilateral on the coordinate plane. Have I completed everything that it asked me to do?
Yes.
Does it ask me to draw to tell what it is, or what its area is, or find its length, or anything else? No, so I've completed it. Now, if I wanted to know, though, what shape is this one? What is the shape here that we drew? What's its shape, Roper? Parallelogram. Good. It's also a quadrilateral. Okay. All right. Was that one tough? Is this helping you know exactly how to draw it on? Ben, does it help clear that up for you? Okay. What about you, Chance? All right. Now I'm going to keep using this same grid. I'll probably see here. Here's another one. Stop that. Just a minute. Let's look at the slide before this. Okay. Finding distance in the first quadrant. That's what we were doing when we started warming up. Okay. What is the distance? You can find the length of a horizontal or vertical line segment in a coordinate plane by using the coordinates of the endpoints and subtracting them. Okay? If you look at this photograph, and you've got it on your I didn't give you the notes, did I? Okay. If you look at the photograph here, the only variable that's changing is the x coordinate. Because I've got an A and a C. The two B's are the same. If you're using the same letter, it's the same value. And so it's just exactly like what we did earlier. We subtract the difference. Okay? Here they looked and they said, well, the Y value changes, and they subtract the difference. So we can do it by subtraction. Be sure to subtract the lesser coordinate from the greater coordinate. Okay? So let's go back to here now. It says the vertices of the rectangle are, it gives it to us, draw the rectangle and find its perimeter. So I've got to draw it first. I've got to draw it first. Then I have to find the perimeter. So you guys need to get busy and let's see if we can't get it drawn. Go in and draw it, so I've got to be able to label. I'm not going down into I'm not going to number the whole thing because I'm not going down into the negative, so I'm going to stop with just that. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to place my points. I've got sitting there just looking at it doesn't work. You got to draw it. And you need to draw it by using the points. I've had a lot of kids sitting this morning and just looking and doing nothing. That's not acceptable, kiddos. Where's this one at? You put it back in the same one? That's fine. Okay, that's perfectly fine. Put it in the same one. I'm okay with that. Okay. Need to get it drawn in. You do, and this is what I showed you, and if you'd have been working with me, you'd have realized you can't start with the center at 1. 1 has to be out here and down there. The center is 0. So you need to renumber your graph and go again. Guys, I just showed you how to number this, and because you chose not to number it when I showed it, now you can't number it either. Okay, I'm moving on. If you don't pay attention and participate, I can't help you. And everybody else is having to wait. So we're going to move on. We've got it numbered. We've got it drawn. What shape is it? What shape is it, Braden? It's a rectangle. Now it does ask us to find its perimeter. How do I find the perimeter of any shape? How do I find the perimeter of any shape, Jaden? No, that's our formula for area, okay? How do I find the perimeter of any shape, Emmy? Add up all the sides, okay? So I'm going to need to know the length of each side. Well, I know that this first side is 1, 2, 3, 4 units. Do you agree?
Yeah.
My second side is 6 units. This one's 4 units. And this one is 6 units. Does everybody agree with that? So what is the perimeter of our rectangle? What is the perimeter? 20 units. They're not squared because I didn't multiply unit times units. All I did was 4 plus 6 plus 4 plus 6 equals 20. Okay? Could I have said 2 times 4 plus 2 times 6? Would have been the same thing. Okay? Question? Or is that what you was going to tell me? Correct. Tyler,
Could have just did 4 plus 6 times 2.
4 plus 6 times 2. Any one of those would work as long as you're getting the total distance around something. They use and perimeter is used a lot. How many of you have, you live where you have a backyard? Everybody have a, not everybody does. If you live in an apartment, you might not have one. Okay, so you have a backyard. How many of your backyards are fenced? Okay,
I have a fence in my backyard, but it's not.
not the whole yard? Okay. When somebody, whoever built that fence, they had to know how much fence they needed to buy. So they needed to know the distance of that fence. So they calculated the perimeter of that yard to go and purchase the length of fence that they need. Okay? That's where a perfect example of where perimeter is used. Okay? Yes, sir, Tyler.
My dad didn't use perimeter. He just bought a whole bunch of rolls of fence and
Now,
extra.
I'll bet that your dad did figure out what they needed, unless he just wanted to have a bunch of extra. Most people don't. How many of you have, your parents are so wealthy, they just got money laying around, and the amount that it costs to buy a fence wouldn't make a difference to them? Well, let's put it this way. Chain link fence, last I was looking, is it runs about $7 per linear foot. So if we've got a 20-foot area, oh, and chain link fence comes in rolls of 50 and 100 length. And all of that makes a difference. What is 7 times 20? $140 to put fence around this small area. Okay? 120, or you said $140. Okay, but now, notice if that's a 50-foot section, I've got to be able to chop it off here. I got 6 feet. I'm going to chop off another 6 feet, and I'm going to chop off 2 4-foot sections. Is a 50-foot piece going to give me enough?
Yeah.
Sure it would. And I would have extra. But a lot of your yards aren't just 50 feet wide. Maybe they're 75 feet wide, or maybe they're 120 feet wide. You wouldn't want to buy a 100-foot roll and only need 20 feet of it usually. See what I mean? So you have to pay attention to all of that kind of stuff. Cadence, or Kaylee.
We didn't fence in our backyard because it was like behind your house and we live in the country. But my dad on our new dog's like daycare of him, but it's like got a divider. He put like a little fence behind hers because she could climb out of it because of the square. So we had to like put the little chicken wire.
Okay. What about ranchers? Do ranchers in this area of our country have fences? They got cattle, they got to have fences. They have to know how much land they're going to fence off. Because then most ranchers have like 5-strong barbed wire to keep the animals from being able to get through it. They don't usually use chain link fences. Now out in Arizona, they don't do fencing. And I didn't know that till I went there last year. I went to Arizona last summer on the reservation. There are no fences. It's really weird because the cows cross the road, the sheep cross the road. They go wherever they can find food. It's called free range. There is no fence. The outside of the reservation is fenced, but everything inside is not fenced. It's really kind of strange. Yes?
The bulls don't like to listen to the fence. They just run through it.
Sometimes they do. Yes?
So we have a fence in our backyard is like boxed in, and so we used to have 2 dogs, but one of them passed away, and so the one that passed away was my dog, and so my dog would go and nudge the gate, so we had to keep the gate locked, and so we had to and then she would like start running into the fence, and I don't know why, because it was so weird, and then there was a cat, and the cat got into our backyard, and the dog started chasing it.
Mm-hmm.
And well, we haven't seen that cat since.
Mm. Okay. All right, I'm going to get off of the fence. Let's look at another one. This one is going up really fast. Am I going to want to number my graph by ones?
No.
Probably not. So I'm going to make this larger again so we can work with it. You're going to do this, you're going to get ready and you're going to graph this one. Now, somebody said you might want to number it by tens. I'm gonna number by tens, and the reason why I'm gonna choose that, because I definitely want to be at a crosshair for 30 and 90. I don't wanna have to guess where that's at. It just makes it easier for my drawing and my counting. So if I number this by tens, I've got 10, 20, 30, 50, 70, 90, 100. I got 10, 30, 50, 70, 90, on out, and hopefully I do need 100. So we're gonna say my 100 is out here, but I don't have it on my graph. Okay? So I'm gonna, just because I need 100, I'm gonna throw one in there. There's my 100. That way I can mess with it. Okay. So I need a point at 0, 90. I need a point at 60, 90. I need a point at 130. And I need a point at 0, 30. And then I need to draw my lines. Got it. And I need to mark them. Okay, got that part done. Okay, I got it drawn. The coordinates are measured in feet. What is the area? Oh, now I've got to find area. Can I find the area?
Yeah.
It's a parallelogram, right? So I use my formula and I calculate the area. Van, do you know it?
Well, no, because
Van, do you have a question?
I can't fit it anywhere to unread it on my phone.
Okay, then you might want to use a smaller piece of graph paper, okay? We just get a different piece of paper. It's not a big deal. But I'm going to stop you from this for right now. Could you calculate the area once you get it drawn on? Sure, all right? So that's what you're going to do. This is what you're doing today. It's the same stuff. We're just drawing and going from there, okay?